If you plan on drag racing your 2011 through 2014 manual GT or Boss on a sticky tire, well then upgrading your drive shaft to the DSS 3.5-inch aluminum option that we have here today will be a great way to ensure your day doesn't get cut short due to snapping that stocker. Now, on top of being much stronger, the one-piece aluminum option will also save you some pounds of rotational mass, all for right around that $1,200 price point. Install won't be too bad here, guys, but because all of your work is done underneath the car, figure a solid 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and a couple of hours to knock out from start to finish, as we'll show you later in the video. So this is one of those parts that, truth be told, isn't really necessary for most casual, stock, or light bolt-on 6-speed owners out there, as the stock drive shaft will serve its purpose just fine, even when you start pouring on some power. However, this is a key driveline component that should strongly be considered once you start really preparing to drag race your manual Coyote and launching hard with a drag radial or a slick. But getting into the actual DSS shaft that we have here today, and you're gonna find this to be one of a couple different options for the manual cars, the other being the much more expensive carbon fiber option. Now, both drive shafts are advertised to support a good amount of power, roughly 900 horsepower here, by the way, for the 6061 aluminum option. Now, one of the things DSS is most excited about here with this particular aluminum option is that it now features a direct fit rear CV, which operates much like the stocker and does not require the use of an additional adapter plate, which can sometimes be problematic and just add additional weight. Now, on top of that, DSS went from a 4-inch option down to a 3.5-inch diameter shaft. That's good because you're gonna make for a little bit more clearance on those lowered cars while still maintaining the same amount of strength overall. Now, that strength is there because you're using solid materials. Again, 6061 T6 aluminum construction here with the bellet end caps. Now, the front does feature a 1350 U-joint along with a 28 spline 108mm 6-bolt rear CV joint, and that's going to be made from all new 300M material. And then, of course, there's the weight savings, right? Something like this, typically the factory 2-piece drive shaft, at least on the S197, about 39, 40 pounds, somewhere in there. But this option from DSS is gonna come in on average about 19 pounds or so. So roughly saving about 20 pounds of rotational mass, which is huge, right? Certainly gonna help the car rev a little bit quicker and require basically less effort from the engine to turn. Now, basically, anytime you can shed rotational mass through lighter wheels, lighter flywheel, or in this case, the drive shaft, is definitely a good thing. And we call that free horsepower, right? It's not typically going to add horsepower, but it's not going to take horsepower away like it would turning a heavy cast iron flywheel or a heavy 2-piece drive shaft. So anytime you can free up some extra rotational mass, always a good thing. But now we want to shift gears and just show you what it takes to get the DSS installed on your manual S197 at home. These really aren't too difficult to install, guys, but you're going to want to obviously get the car in the air. You're going to want to remove that mid-pipe just to make a little bit more room for the install itself. And obviously, you just want to make sure you have some Loctite on hand as well for some of these bolts. But to give you a better idea of just how things will go down at home, feel free to check out our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown now.
Tools used for this installation: 3/8 electric impact gun, 1/2-inch impact gun, 3/8 drive ratchet, 3/8 extensions, 3/8 swivel, Loctite, 1/2-inch swivel, 12mm socket, 3/8 adapter, 5/16 and 10mm Allen head sockets, 10mm, 13 and 15mm sockets, torque wrench, and a hammer. Hey guys, I'm going to walk you through the install of our 3.5-inch aluminum drive shaft in our 14 Mustang here. Let's get started. So first thing we're going to do now we have our vehicle up on our lift is we're going to remove our exhaust system. Now, if you're at home and you're doing this on the ground, you're going to want to jack your car up. You're going to want to make sure it's in neutral for the back wheels, but you're going to want to chuck the front tires, make sure you block them up so the car don't move when you're getting ready to remove the drive shaft. We have ours up on the lift, so it's a lot easier. So we're going to get back into removing the exhaust system, and then we'll start pulling the drive shaft out after we get the exhaust removed. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen our clamps up back here that hold on our muffler to our axle over the rear pipe here. We're going to take our 13mm on our gun. I'm going to loosen this up. That'll get this one done. And then you're just going to repeat the same procedure on the other side. and I got that good and loose. Now you're just going to, like I said, repeat the same procedure, loosen the other muffler up there, then we'll go up to the front. Now that we have our back loose, we're going to loosen up these 4 15mm nuts here on our pipes. That way, once we get these loose, we'll be able to remove these 2 pipes, give us access to our drive shaft. I'm going to take my 15mm on my 1/2" drive impact gun and loosen these up. You don't have to take them all the way off, just loosen them. Like that. That'll give us access to start removing our pipes. So now that we have our 15mm here loose and we have our back ones loose, I'm going to be able to take our pipe and slide it out. And do the same on the other side. That'll give us access to our dry shaft. So now I'm going to take my 13mm on my impact gun. I'm going to loosen up these 2 clamps here to remove our mid pipe. Just going to make it easier for us to get to the dry shaft. So we'll just loosen these up and then remove our pipe. And now that's removed, we'll be able to get to our dry shaft. So now that we have our mid pipe off, I'm going to take our pole jack here and support on our center support of our dry shaft, just to give it some support to hold it up when I start removing the bolts in the front and the back. And just put a little tension on it, not much, just enough to hold it. Next, we're going to go up front here. We're going to remove our 4 12mm 12-point bolts that are holding the front yoke in, and then we'll go to the back and remove it from the back of the rear. So now we have our dry shaft supported. I'm going to take my 12mm and with my 1/2" impact gun, I'm going to remove these 4 bolts. Now I have marked our dry shaft. I put a mark on both of these because we're going to be putting this back in. You can do that as well if you ever decide to put it back in, you know where it went. Especially on the back and the front, I always put marks on. So now I'm going to just remove these 4 bolts and then we'll work our way back. I'm going to give the dry shaft a turn. Now we'll go back to our center support and loosen up those bolts. Next, I'm going to take my 13mm with an extension, reach up in here, and there's 2 bolts right here to hold the center support of the dry shaft in. I'm going to use my 13 on my 3/8 electric impact gun. That's 1. That's 2. Now we'll work our way to the back. Now we're going to remove the 6 bolts back here that hold the back of the dry shaft. Again, I put a mark on this, being that we're going to be putting this back on our vehicle. So we're going to remove these. I'm going to take my 10mm on my 1/2" impact gun and take these bolts out. At this point, I'm going to have to spin the rear again to get to the bolts. Now I have them all loose. I'll remove these out so we can remove and break this loose from the rear. Now if yours has been in there from factory, you might take a pry bar just to pop it loose. That's what I'll do next, and we'll get the drive shaft completely out. So now I'm going to break this free from the rear. I'm just going to give it a slight tap. The hammer. And then pull it free and drop it down. Now at this point, we'll move our pole jack and then we'll take the whole drive shaft out. Now that we have the back broke free, the front came just loose. As soon as I took the bolts out, I'm going to lower the pole jack down a little bit. Once I get it down to there, I'm just going to pick it up and pull it right out. So now that we have our old drive shaft out, I'm going to install our new drive shaft. I have the rear supported here with our pole jack. I'm going to take the drive shaft, stick it up into place. It might take a little finessing to get it over this here, but we'll get it up in, and then we'll start our bolts. So now once I have it in place like that, I'm going to get my bolts and my Loctite, start our back bolts, and then we'll go up to our front. So now I'm going to use the Allen head bolts that were supplied in the kit with the retaining clip that you see here. I'm going to take my Loctite and put a little bit onto the bolts. Just a little bit. And we're going to do that on each set of bolts. It's the blue Loctite. And we're going to get them in place here and get them all started. And I'm going to do that on the rest. Put some Loctite on them and get them all started. And the last set, some Loctite on that one, and we'll get these started. Now once I get them started, I'm going to take my 5/16 on my 3/8 ratchet. And I'm going to run them into place. I'm not going to tighten them fully because we're going to torque these then. So now you're going to want to repeat that same procedure on the rest of the bolts and just spin the rear to get your bolts tight and started. So now we're going to stick our front bolts in. I'm going to put some Loctite onto our front bolts. It's just the blue stuff. Once I have them with the Loctite on, I'm going to install the front bolts. Once I get them all started, I'm going to take my 3/8 ratchet and my 10mm Allen head socket. Run these in. And then you're just going to want to repeat that same procedure on the other two and run these in, and then we will torque them to manufacturer's spec. So now that we have our bolts snug, I'm going to take my torque wrench set to 70 foot-pounds, which is what the manufacturer recommends for the front ones. I'm going to get it started here. And if you're doing this by yourself, like I am, I'm gonna take a pry bar and stick in here and hold on to it. And you're just gonna wanna do that and repeat that same procedure on the rest of the bolts. Now that we did our front and we torqued all those, we're gonna torque our back. I'm gonna take my torque wrench set to 57 foot-pounds, and I'm going to torque the back bolts. And you're gonna wanna just repeat that same procedure on the rest of the bolts. So now we got our Driveshaft in place. We have all our bolts torqued to manufacturer specs. I'm gonna reinstall our front pipe here, take it up, and then I'm gonna use my 13mm on my gun to tighten up our clamps. I'm gonna get them in place just like that. I'm gonna grab my gun, my 13mm. Snug these up. Once I have them snugged up, we'll just push this up and hold it up and tighten them up a little bit more. And that'll stay up in place there. Now we'll install our mid pipes. So now we're going to install our axle pipe. I'm going to slide it up over top of the rear here, get it into place, and slide it into our hanger. And just let it hang there like that. Plus now we're going to do the next one. Slide them into place just like that. Now we'll go to the back of the vehicle and hook up our mufflers, and then come back and tighten up our 15mm up front. So now I'm going to line up my pipe into our muffler here. I'm going to take my 13mm on my 3/8 gun, tighten this clamp up while pushing up on it. Make sure it's not hitting anywhere. And now we're going to repeat the same procedure on the other one. Okay, now that we have our back clamps tight, I'm going to come up to our front here with my 15mm and my 3/8 gun. I'm going to push up on the pipes and get the pipes tight up against the body and lift up where I want it, and then give them a really good tightening. And that wraps up this installation. That wraps up this review and install of our Driveshaft Shop 3.5-inch aluminum one-piece Driveshaft for 11 to 14 GT and 12 to 13 Boss 302. Thanks for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.